What's up, everybody? I'm back with a new movie review. This one is animated. I want to start incorporating some animated movie classics into my reviews. Matter of fact, now I'm thinking about it. Probably should also include some animated uh, Halloween ones for next year, and probably try to find some Thanksgiving ones outside of the whole Peanuts Christmas stuff. Anyway, uh, today I'll be covering a Flintstones Christmas Carol. I remember was psyched to see this as a little kid because the promo was very cool. Matter of fact, I made sure I have this at the ready because I want you guys, especially my fellow millennials, does this bring back some pleasant memories? Hold on. And don't forget to like the video and leave a comment below. Uh, 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 do you recall about the Flintstones Christmas Carol?
Oh, it's Christmas in Bedrock. Fred Flintstone's playing Scrooge. Wilma sews his clothes. Barney is his stooge. And Bam Bam's Tiny Tim in Bedrock's Christmas play. And if three spirits do their job, then Scrooge might change his ways. Oh. The Flintstones perform Dickens' classic tale. Cartoon Network's Cartoon Theater presents A Flintstones Christmas Carol, premiering Sunday at 10 on Cartoon Network.
Yeah, man. Oh, God, that brings was that low? That part, it lives rent free in my head. I don't know why. But man, that was that was that was the time. Like Cartoon Network, Disney Channel, and Nickelodeon, man. They usually have this especially on Fridays and Saturdays. They have these little segmented spots. I think they still technically do, but it just hit different back in the day. Maybe I'm biased, but it's just it was like an event. They had those kind of things where it's like an event. Like they did that for Halloween Town and Twitches and it, Billy and Mandy and Ned and Nettie. They even had the old school other Hanna-Barbera cartoons that had their own holiday specials. It was oh yeah, rush home, get yourself a pizza or some popcorn or something like that. Sit in front of the TV and just chill, man. You was just invested. Oh my god, man! And rewatching it because the atmosphere of it all really set the tone. Because that is another thing you as film creators have to get right is the atmosphere. The atmosphere sets the tone. You see all that snow all over Bedrock. You see, the distinct colors and designs. The whole city is lived in. It is a good spectacle. I just really want to show that. I might do that for the other animated ones too, to show off the promos, just to really because it's oh my god, it was a whole vibe. So anyway, this is directed by Joanna Ramirez, written by Glenn Leopold. We had the late Henry Corden, who voiced Fred Flintstone. A lot of these people, except for maybe a few, are still. There's only a few in the list of casting that's still alive, like Frank Welker, who voiced Barney Rubble. He's still around. But we got Henry Corden, who voiced Fred Flintstone. Gene Vanderpil voiced Wilma Flintstone. B.J. Ward voiced Betty Rubble. Russi Taylor voiced Pebbles. Don Misek voiced Bam Bam. John Stevenson as Mr. Slate, Marsha Clark as Maggie and Miss Garnet Felspar, Will Ryan as Ned, Brian Cummings as Irwin, Renee Levant voice Philo Quartz, and John Rhys Davis as Charles Brickens. So of course it's not only based off the Charles Dickens story, but it's just they went with a different route with this with the Flintstones. It isn't just a retelling of the story, but it's not like the Muppets Christmas Carol where you just have the characters in roles of the Dickens novel. No, we got this community theater doing like a Christmas play of the Christmas Carol, and a lot of the main characters and a few extras that we never seen in the Flintstones show before. I'm pretty sure a few of them were repeat characters in the show outside of like Mr. Slate and stuff. I just can't remember. Like I've seen the Flintstones cartoon because I caught like a lot of the reruns, but in terms of supporting characters, I remember Mr. Slate. I think things kind of went downhill after they introduced the Great Gazoo, like giving Fred and Barney some magical imp. It just seems like I don't know. I didn't mind it as a kid, but growing up, after I got some perspective, I realized it's kind of like, oh, it's a bad sign if you had to rely on this magical imp because you probably ran out of stories to tell. It's kind of like that vibe. Now that as I got older, I come to make that acknowledgement. As a kid, it's just like, oh, another funny character that got magic powers. Anyway, so our main characters got roles or positions in setting up this play. Now we don't get to see how. I guess it doesn't really matter. We don't get to see how they got the who auditioned for what and how, like, in terms of Fred getting the roles, like it'd be kind of interesting to see like how the audition and who are the other people that he ended up beating. Like I said, I guess it doesn't really matter, but it's just like, okay, how? Like we talking about Fred Flintstone here, about above all anybody else, this guy somehow not only was casted, but he had any level of interest. You wouldn't suspect Fred Flintstone cared one iota about this kind of thing. But anyway, we're just in the thick of it as like a day away from the actual play. Fred is going all around town with this air of superiority, because he got the leading role in this play, and then with top of it all off, he thinking it's like it's gonna take him to we know it's Broadway, but he's saying Broad Rock. We gotta include the rock puns in this because it's the Flintstones here. But he ends up getting this air of superiority about himself. And I was like, oh, I'm an actor now. So he just face first into the scripts. learning and relearning his lines, which divert his focus from everything else, from his job and his obligations he's supposed to have with his family, where he ends up getting in trouble with Wilma after he was supposed to pick up his daughter from daycare, since he was leaving work early to get to the play on time. And Wilma had to be, because she's the stage manager, she had to be there for most of the day. So she expected Fred to pick the baby up and bring him to the auditorium, because even Barney and Betty are involved. Barney's playing Bob Cratchit, and Betty is supposed to play his wife, and she also is the costume designer. But because Fred ended up forgetting to pick up his daughter, Barney, while picking up Bam Bam, who's playing Tiny Tim, had to grab her as well to bring her to the auditorium, because their teacher is supposed to be playing Ghost of Christmas Past anyway. Don't know why she couldn't just... it's irrelevant. I was going to say, I don't know why the teacher couldn't just, since she's going to be there anyway, couldn't just drop off the baby. But Barney, came in at the clutch like a friend and managed to, get the kid and Fred also ended up forgetting to pick up buy Christmas presents for his wife and daughter. So he ended up having to rush out and get the gifts, like this dress for his wife and this toy for his daughter. But he had to wait in line, this massive line, to get the gifts wrapped up. Don't even think why you need to worry about it. Just grab the stuff, rush to the auditorium, and during like a intermission, find a way to wrap it up there, or leave it in the car or something or other. Because he ain't gonna have the time to wait in line, because he have to get to the play. So he put some extreme trust to this random kid who's not so random. He also just so happens to be in the play. He just doesn't. Fred doesn't pick up the kid is also in the play. He just seems like some random kid that Fred just completely put a lot of trust in to give him his number to wait on to get those gifts wrapped and drop it off at the auditorium. But so he gets chewed out by Wilma, and the good portion of people that he knows all give him like the stink eye, his attitude, because he just was full of himself. Like he sees himself as the star. Because this is Fred Flintstone we're talking about. His ego often gets him into trouble. But Wilma's been married to this dude long enough to know this. I'm not saying you can't rely on Fred Flintstone, because the trouble with TV shows for a very long time. They depict the husbands as like blundering idiots that they gotta clean up after, kind of thing. It's played for comedic effect half the time, but Wilma is just like give him like snide remarks and rough being rough with the guy all throughout this freaking film. Uh, which I can't say she had no right to be upset, because like, and I'm pretty sure when it comes to anything else, she would have been annoyed, but she probably gotten over it. But she could not get over the fact that dude got too big for his britches, to the point where his obsession with this role has caused him to forget his daughter, to pick up his daughter, like a civil task that she kind of expected him to kind of cover her on with, because in a relationship like that, especially a marriage, you got to cover for each other, and he dropped the ball on that. And so I can't really say she wasn't, wrong, because like I said, if it was anything else, she probably would have gotten over it. It's the child, and knowing like the mama bears, is the fact that, bro, like, all I wanted you to do is make sure you pick up the daughter after work. You was leaving early. You had the car. It's just like, and you was just so obsessed with this role, and it's like you forgetting, like, this place shouldn't be more important than your daughter. It's like any reasonable parent will, like, drop everything for that kid. If the kid need to be picked up or something's going on with the kid, everything else is like just meaningless. It's like fairy dust. It doesn't exist when the kid needs you, or you are expected to take care of the parental part of your job. So yeah, Wim was definitely in the right on that. I just don't think she needs to spend the whole entire movie kind of pushing and pulling him all over the place, and like, just, she's doing passive aggressive stuff and just saying like, she from time to time say like what is, what she's kind of, well, no, she wasn't very direct with it. She kind of expected him to kind of pick it up and read her mind, or use context clues. And Fred is too dense. You should know your husband long enough to know he's kind of dense at times. Most guys are. You gotta be direct with us. We can't read social cues like women, okay? Just say like, I'm mad because you forgot your daughter, which she does tell at the end, but you spend the whole entire movie being passive aggressive. It's just say it straight up. You left our daughter. You forgot to pick up our daughter at daycare. Okay? We had to rely on our family friend to pick. Luckily, Barney came in to pick up Bam Bam, so he managed to make sure he got Pebbles as well. Otherwise, she would have been left alone. Nobody will leave a toddler alone at daycare, but the teacher will have to leave eventually too, because she's part of the play. She can't hang around forever. So yeah. Yeah, I'm not saying Fred shouldn't be chewed out, but I'm just saying like she should have said what she was thinking from the jump, instead of just doing this like roughhousing with him. Anyway, of course Fred's still like full of himself and completely oblivious on why she's upset, or at least he realized why she's upset, but he can't acknowledge the severity of the situation, because if something happened with that kid, the fault will lay on his feet, rightly so. So the play starts, and of course people playing their roles very perfectly, and I can see why they got the roles, because Fred really nailing this role. Really, it's like, so you're doing this Scrooge thing in the play, but we also got this little sub. It's not like a B plot. It's probably like a C plot, where we got this bedrock bug that's lingering over the entire film, where certain people who's supposed to be involved with the play end up getting sick with the bedrock bug, where it's kind of sort of like a plot point here, where Wilma had to pick up a couple of roles. She had to play Ghost of Christmas Past and Belle because the actresses who's supposed to play those roles ended up catching this bug, so they couldn't continue with the play. So, as stage manager, who knows the script backwards and forwards, like all the other actors are supposed to, she had to end up having to step in. So, as Christmas Past, he shows Fred slash Scrooge his past, and about a sister and having a nephew and all the other stuff. And because after Belle died, his heart completely hardened, and his only connection with her is the nephew, which he ends up keeping at arm's length, and he just swore not to love again. He eventually meet Christmas present. Well, not before you try to run back to the story when you realize, oh my god, the kid never brought my presents back. I can't trust anybody. This is, oh my god, the kid just ran off my stuff. It's like I trusted this little thing, but then who he thought was the Ghost of Christmas Future turns out to be Officer Quartz, who says there's no diversity here because he's got a black caveman in the Flintstones. I'm pretty sure they had like other black people in the Flintstones series. We got Officer Quartz, who's friends with Fred, in his costume, but also in uniform underneath it, just doing his last rounds before he heads to the play for his role as Ghost of Christmas Future. So here's getting Fred a ride back to continue on with his in the next scene, where he meets with the Ghost of Christmas Present. Present, who shows the his nephew and his girl and their friends, and you see Cratchit and his family, and see what they really think and how they really feel about Scrooge and his behavior, which kind of like put things in perspective for Scrooge, even showing he has a bit of a heart when you realize, oh, my lowly employee has a crippled son, and I'm barely paying him to pay for like hospital medical care, because President tells him, like, I see a kid without a kid to care for in the future, man. But who cares? Let them go and decrease their surplus population. For some reason, there's something about that line always stuck with me. I love that line. It's a great line Dickens incorporated in the story. It's like let them do it and decrease the surplus population. I don't know why. That always stuck with me. I love that line. It's probably one of my favorite lines in the Christmas Carol. It's just like the harshness to that line, the cold callousness of, like, it's kind of like something Thanos would say. It's like, go ahead and decrease the surplus population. Can you imagine a Christmas Carol with Thanos? It'd be kind of weird. It makes sense with Batman. Like a couple years ago, I did like a review of the comic Batman Noel, which you can check out on my YouTube channel. My overall thoughts on Batman Noel. So he eventually meets Christmas Future, and you see that uh, nobody cares for him. He's dying alone, and he made this big plea, like I'll change, and this ends up having an effect on Fred, where I don't know, he's playing a role, and I kind of wish there was more elements in his real life that incorporated into these scenes that kind of match up in a way, so that way, because it's what you're supposed to read from this is that through the course of this play, Fred is having this existential crisis. It's like, oh my god, and I'm behaving like a Scrooge, because the same way how Scrooge is treating Bob Cratchit, I'm treating Barney Rubble the same way, and it's like kind of one for one. I don't get that, but that's the tone the movie's trying to convey to you. But it's just like, if I'm looking at it critically now and not just from the sheer enjoyment factor, I do enjoy it, but it's like it has to be a one for one. Like you see, like Fred's future somehow incorporate in Scrooge's future, where it's like, oh my god, Wilma leaving me for somebody else, and Pebbles growing up without the influence of me, she is turned into a ne'er-do-well, or she just doesn't have some proper guidance and she's like misbehaving or something like that. Shows like, because you ain't present, or you're not active, you die early than you're supposed to, and really nobody's left to care for you, and without you, the people you love the most, their lives gets turned to shambles because you are an integral part of this. But if you shirking your duties and your responsibilities, and you are standoffish, and you're miserly, or you're not embracing people, you will not going to have like a happy future, and that will cause a domino effect with the people around you. I kind of wish there was something like that to hit home when Fred has this turnaround as Scrooge has this turnaround, because it just doesn't align for me if I'm looking at it critically. I understand Scrooge is supposed to have a turnaround. Fred just by happenstance has a turnaround, but I just need to have like, okay, what's the one-to-one to this? So as the play ends, and of course Bam Bam gets stage fright for his big moment to say God bless us everyone. He gets stage fright, and Pebbles picks up the slack and she says God bless us everyone. And the play ends, and Fred gives like a heartfelt apology to everybody, and he comes to understanding like, you all mean something to me. Matter of fact, he has such a big chance of the fact that when spending Christmas not only with them, but he wants Wilma to invite her mother, even though he does not like her mother. But then, of course, for comedic effect, he ends up getting the bedrock bug. But she's like, don't worry, like, you'll be better by the time my mother arrives. Like, ugh. And that's where the movie ends. I still got some enjoyment outside of my, personal qualms of having Fred come to an understanding of what his life going to turn out if he acts the way Scrooge act. I kind of wish that was highlighted more, because of course we're doing the Charles Dickens story. Of course we know what Scrooge's life is going to turn out if he doesn't make any change. They're very visual with that, but they're not very visual with what Fred's life going to be about if he does not, change outside of this play. But anyway, I still enjoyed it. It's still fun down memory lane. And it's still like a cold up watching this film and just my mind just reverting back to my childhood. But anyway, that was a Flintstones Christmas Carol. Next week, what I really want to do, while we're on this gravy train with Cartoon Network specials, I'm going to do Billy and Mandy's Christmas special. Billy and Mandy's Grim Adventures Christmas special. That I'm going to review for next week, along with something else. But let me know in the comments below what you guys think. What other memorable Christmas specials from like the big three networks, Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, Disney, that that really hit for you as a child that you remember, especially like the promos and how it was advertised, that really got you like, I gotta go see this kind of thing, because nothing else matters, and you're waiting for Friday or you're waiting for Saturday so you can sit down that evening and just chill kind of thing. Anyway, I'll see you guys in a little bit. I got this quick discussion review video I want to do in regards to these award shows, just in general, nothing in particular, but they all are acting the same now. Before we start checking out the Game Awards show, that'll be, I'll start streaming at 6 o'clock. So I got like 3 hours from now. So I will see you guys in a little bit. Take care.